Thank you, everyone. We're now recording tonight's meeting. Welcome to everyone. My name is Patrick Hall. I'm the elected Mayor of the City of Canning. It's 6 p.m, starting right on time, Tuesday the 10th of October 2023. I want to start the meeting by acknowledging the Whadjuk people, the traditional custodians of the land, and also pay our respects to elders both past and present. And in accordance with the City of Canning's policy CM 105, agenda briefings are conducted for the purpose of providing elected members with a forum to ask questions of the City's administration and to receive answers to those questions to enable informed decision-making by Council at the following week's ordinary Council meeting. And in accordance with Local Government Act of 1995, agenda briefings are not decision-making forums. Therefore, questions may be asked and answered, and there is to be no debate or discussion. Questions may be specifically relevant or must be specifically relevant to the item being discussed. Elected members and employees must disclose any financial proximity or partiality interest they have in an item to be discussed and declare the nature of that interest at the commencement of the briefing or at the latest when the item is about to be discussed. If a member or employee has a financial proximity or partiality interest in a matter arising during discussion, the nature of that interest must be disclosed as soon as possible after the matter is raised. Interests are to be disclosed in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act as they apply to council meetings. Individuals disclosing an interest other than a partiality interest must not participate in that part of a briefing relating to their interest and must leave the meeting room whilst the item is being discussed. And agenda briefings are public meetings, and any information provided to the meeting by attendees may be publicly accessible. May I ask everybody here this evening, councillors particularly, to please turn off mobile phones for the duration of the briefing. The briefing is to be live streamed via the City's YouTube channel, and that is occurring now. Councillor Tuchek, I wanted you to throw to you and you're going to make an announcement about the charity that we're actually supporting this month, and thanks to all of you who came along tonight, including a member of the public who's come along tonight, resplendent in a pink shirt. Thank you very much for joining in with us. Councillor Tuchek, can you talk about tonight's charity? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The charity days have been a lot of fun, starting in August with Jeans for Jeans, and September was Footy Colours. And then obviously tonight is breast cancer awareness, and we're all donned in pink, which is fantastic. I've got the donation here. I'll be making that later this evening. Next month is mental health, which is huge in any industry. And I attended a dinner last night with Amanda about healthy minds in the hospitality industry. So that would be supporting that charity, and also just wearing green. And then finishing off with December with a Christmas theme with Make-A-Wish Foundation. So, but thank you very much for participating and supporting. It's been awesome.
Thank you very much for keeping it going. Well done. Thanks, everybody. We shall move on then to item 2, attendances. We have no apologies for this evening. The full council is here at item 3, disclosures of interest. CEO, have we received any disclosures this evening?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No, we've received no declarations either of impartiality or of financial.
Thank you. I'm going to move across to item 4, question time for the public. We only have one member of the public here tonight. Did you want to ask a question this evening? No, I can see you shaking the head. Sir, are you wanting to ask a question this evening? No. Folks, I'm not going to actually propose to open question time. We have no pre-submitted questions to the council. I'm going to actually move past question time and just note in the record that we neither opened nor closed, and we have no indication that any questions are being proposed by the two people here this evening. We'll move on to deputations at item 4.3, and there are none. At item 5, items brought forward for the convenience of those in the public gallery, there are none. Reports of committee meetings at item 6, there are none. Reports, we start with the reports from Mr Michael Littleton, the Chief Executive Officer, at item 7.1. There are none. At item 7.2, the responsible officer being Ms Lorraine Driscoll, the Director of Corporate and Commercial. That item is CC 022 of 23, the title of the report being the Monthly Financial Report for September 2023. Councillors, the recommendation is currently on screen. It also appears on page 4 of tonight's agenda. Are there any questions in relation to that matter? Councillor Bain, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Page 19, the Soul Park Playground renewal. Is that being paid through Muni Funds or TPS 23?
Director?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll refer that one to our Finance Manager, Mr Atala. Atwala? Atwala.
Mr Adewale, have you got it there? I think Councillor Bain's referring to page 19 of the report. Did you want him to ask the question again? Did you get the full question? I'll get you just to turn your microphone on. Thank you.
Sir, if you don't mind repeating the question, for name of the project.
Councillor Bain?
Yep, no problem. So page 19, the Soul Park renewal.
And the question was
Playground
whether
renewal?
the...
Yep. Is that being funded via municipal funds or is that being funded by TPS 23?
Sorry, I need to check that and take that on notice, but happy to confirm afterwards.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor? Oh, I've got Director Bowe here, might be able to shed some light on it.
Thank you,
Director
Mr
Bowe.
Mayor. My spreadsheet indicates that would be funded through TPS 23 reserve.
Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So if Soul Park's been funded by TPS 23, Crofton Park is also being funded through TPS 23, but it's not included in this financial report. Is there a reason for that?
Director Bowe.
I'm not sure, Mr Mayor. On my spreadsheet, they're both indicated to be funded by TPS 23, so we'll speak with Director Driscoll and make the necessary amendments.
Thank you. And a follow-up, Councillor Bain.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just one more. The warrant listing on page 33, 059788, Enviro Sweep for $1,045. Does the city conduct all its road sweeping in-house now?
Director Bowe, are you able to answer that one?
Yes, I can, Mr Mayor. No, we contract in some additional services as required, but we have our own road sweeper and our own path sweeper that does the majority.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Spencer-Teo.
Just to follow up on Councillor Bain's first two questions, does that mean that the Commissioner has approved our application for TPS 23 funds to be used for public open space improvements?
I think I saw the CEO shaking his head, but I will ask Director Bride. Thank you, Director Bride.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. We have sent the letter off about a month ago, so we're just waiting for the reply. So we're expecting it hopefully in the next couple of months.
Thank you. Any other questions on that item before we move on? Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to the next item, which is 7.3, the responsible officer being Director Graham Bride. It's PD 017 of 23. The title of the report being Adoption of Scheme Amendment number 12 to Local Planning Scheme number 42, increasing the density of various lots bounded by Lacey Street, Campbell Street, Crawford Street and Redcliffe Street. The recommendation is on page 46 of the agenda and is also on screen. Councillors, any questions in relation to that item? Councillor Jacobs.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. This is something that I heard recently in the last 2 weeks. I think the Minister has got rid of the new planning for this type of thing and reverting to the old one. Is that my understanding? And obviously, if that's the case, how does this affect this?
Director Bride, is that relevant?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the Minister did put a pause on the new medium density codes which applied to R30. So there hasn't been a replacement decision as to whether that will proceed in a different form. There are, what I'm hearing is that we'll come back with some amendments probably early next year, but at the moment the R30 provisions would be the volume 1, so the current R30 provisions would continue to apply.
Thank you. Can I just ask a question, just for sake of clarity with these things? Is it possible to have the suburb mentioned in the title of the report for the OCM, only from the point of view, not everyone will know immediately from reading the report title that where Lacey Street, Campbell Street, Crawford Street or Redcliffe Street is. We're a very big council. Can we perhaps just make sure that that's included?
Absolutely, we can do that for you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any further questions on that item? Thank you, councillors. We shall move on then. Thank you to item 7.4, the responsible officer being Mr Warren Bowe, the Director of Infrastructure and Environment to my right. It's IE 020 of 23. The title of that report being the award of tender FM 035.268, replacement of 3 side loader waste trucks. The officer's recommendation is on page 70 of the agenda. And thank you, staff. It appears on screen. Councillors, any questions in relation to the item? Deputy Mayor Ben Kunzer.
Through you to Director Bowe, I was just hoping if you can briefly explain the situation with respect to our existing fleet and the fleet renewal program in the context of, as the report outlines, the tender coming in higher than expected due to the global impacts of supply chain. Some may question whether it's appropriate to wait. I just wanted to, if you could provide some comments on where the existing fleet is and whether there's capacity there.
Director Bowe.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Deputy Mayor. A number of years ago, probably about 3 years ago, the city made a decision to extend the life of its fleet through a major refurbishment and run the number of hours above the 5,000 to 7,000 threshold that we had usually applied. As a result of that, we now have an ageing fleet and the criticality of renewing that fleet increases quite significantly the older it gets. As you'd be aware, we've already put a purchase in for 3 additional fleet last financial year at the start of this calendar year. We certainly need the fleet, and you'll see the lead-in times would mean that I don't think we can afford to wait. I don't expect the prices to come down of the fleet of the large and heavy plant that we're procuring anytime soon. And in fact, you will have seen the increase in the cost price just in this particular procurement, that of the original price that was submitted by one of the tenderers versus the price that they submitted when asked whether or not they would maintain that price validity. So we are seeing a significant price shift in a really short period of time in our heavy fleet. So I guess the short answer is no. I think we need to continue with the procurement.
Thank you, Director Bowe. Anyone else have a question in relation to the side loaders? Thank you, councillors. We shall then move on to the next item, which is 7.5. Actually, the relevant officer being Director Sarah McQuaid, and there are no items from that directorate. We move on to item 8, the final item on tonight's agenda. Notice of motion for consideration at the next ordinary council meeting, which is next Tuesday evening. We do have a notice of motion. It's NOM 006 of 23, reducing plastic in our rivers. It's been proposed by Deputy Mayor Ben Kunzer, I understand. The recommendation is on page 80 of the agenda and is on screen. Councillors, any questions in relation to that item? Deputy Mayor Kunzer, I'll take you first, and then Councillor Bain.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask through you to Director Bowe whether the city, one aspect that I didn't include in my notice of motion was discouraging plastic use near environmentally sensitive areas like the Canning River. Has the city, or will the city be looking at considering the plastic-free river park program, or I guess measures to try to prohibit or reduce plastic around our rivers and in the regional park?
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm not aware of that program, Deputy Mayor, but I'll engage with the relevant staff and we can give it some consideration and provide some comment into the report under the officer's comment, if you'd like.
Thank you. Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The waste bins that the Deputy Mayor was referring to in the notice of motion, how do we know, I know that waste trucks are fitted with GPS, but how are we confident, or how do we ensure that the bin has actually been emptied rather than the truck just parking nearby and we see that it's been there for 2 minutes via GPS, but how do we know that the bin has actually been emptied?
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Well, firstly, we trust in the performance of our staff, but in addition to that, we have actually completed a review of all our waste bins in our public open space, and we're looking at both driving efficiencies through the collection methodology, but also through better route planning, aiming to be able to deliver both efficiencies and, I guess, a greater level of certainty, if that's what the councillor is after, Councillor Bain, that our bins are being collected within the frequency that we propose and under the normal level of service. But again, I can take that question offline and speak with our Manager of Sustainability and Waste. We can provide you with some information offline.
CEO, Michael Littleton.
Look, I was just going to add, I think our intention is to develop and improve our in-vehicle management system. So there are ways that we can actually get better better real-time data on actually on the bins that are actually being collected. So that is actually GPS around the trucks, and it does give us greater certainty and confidence that that we're doing exactly what we say we would be doing. So they will help our broader waste management processes as we continue to improve our technology and as that technology is starting to be introduced into our vehicles.
Can I just ask a question myself? I thought we were looking at one stage e-bins or some sort of bins that actually self-reported when they were full or partially full, or we could set a parameter for when we might pick them up. Is that something that's been considered, or is that price prohibitive?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's a bit of both. The technology from our research a while back wasn't exactly proven, and we were certainly not geared up within our trucks and within the city to be able to deliver that service. But I'll ask our Manager of Waste and Sustainability, Nick Stewart, to add some commentary on that, if you like.
Thank you, Director. Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question to the Director.
Sorry, Councillor Singh, can you back up the truck, literally? Thank you. Nick, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to add to further point to Director Bowe. Some of the proxy sensor systems that we put inside the bins by various contractors has been proven to be somewhat faulty in some aspects and hasn't been the direct application that we'd like to apply. What we have found and what we're exploring at the moment is an upgrade to our current IVMS system actually on the trucks. That'll provide real-time data with all of our bin collections, including around our parks and gardens. That way we can know when those bins were collected, the time, the date, and photographic evidence that says that the job was completed.
Thank you. Councillor Singh, sorry to cut you off there. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, if this notice of motion is supported, do we expect any additional costs associated with it? I believe review will be internally funded via staff. The second part is, are there any other additional costs which we can foresee? Okay, this review, we will highly likely going to look at these things, and this will result in such a scenario which will require additional funds. Anything related to extra spending of money?
Director Bowe, is it addressed in the report?
Well, it's not, Mr. Mayor, but I think the notice of motion is simply asking us to undertake some work that would not be costly, but the actual outputs or the outcome of the work would indicate if there's any additional cost to be incurred by the city at that particular time.
To address the question, though, I mean, the mitigation for what's been asked was obviously around keeping rubbish out of the river system. Even if we were to replace a number of those bins along there, you wouldn't have thought that we're talking about a prohibitive cost. I wouldn't expect that, but we will be appraised of that anyway. That'll come to us for approval. Councillor Singh.
Just to clarify, Mr. Mayor, so this work will be done by staff and we are not hiring anyone to do this review?
Director Bowe, internally?
That's the intention, Mr. Mayor, yes.
Certainly the intention. Councillor Jacobs.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just following on from Councillor Bain's question about the trucks. It's my understanding that some councils can actually see the video feed of the bin coming up and its contents going into the truck. Is that what you're talking about with the upgrades? Is it, Stewart?
Director Bowe.
We do have that capability on a number of our trucks, Mr. Mayor, yes.
Thank you. Any further questions before we close? Thank you, councillors. Urgent business tonight at item 9, there is none. Confidential matters tonight at item 10, there is none. Closure, there being no further business, I now declare the agenda briefing closed, and by my recollection, it's now 6:19 p.m. I want to thank you all for coming along tonight. Thank you again on behalf of Councillor Tushek for supporting the charity that was chosen tonight, and I bid you all a safe journey